Hey friends, I'm Paige Poppe. I'm a watercolor artist and designer, and today I'm unboxing and setting up this new paint palette I got from Sargent Art. I love trying art supplies from different brands, different price points. I'm always curious to see what's out there, and I was drawn to this watercolor set because it has this nice tin case with all of these different paint wells inside to work with, and then it is 48 different pans of paint, 48 different colors, which is a really nice range. And I noticed that this color range, in comparing to more high-end brands, I quite liked this because you get more vibrant colors and less neutrals, and I use color a lot in my work, so that seemed great for me. Of course, you can mix your own colors. In reality, you only need red, yellow, and blue to create any color under the sun, but I enjoy finding paints that are pre-mixed because I enjoy using like a bright hot pink or a bright lemon yellow, and I thought this set may have those special colors I love. Now that our palette is open, we can unwrap each of the colors, but for this set in particular, the color names were only on the paint wrappers, not on the box. So I have pulled out this fun sketchbook that I hand painted and bound in my studio, and I started taking notes with each of the color names corresponding to the numbers. This ends up being important later on for me. You'll see why. And then the first color I'm reaching for here is this pink shade called Opera. Like I said, I love a bright pink, and I was excited to try this color because it quite reminds me of a color inside this Jane Davenport little travel watercolor kit I have. You can see it's well loved, and there is this hot pink shade in here that is very well loved, and you can see they are looking a little bit comparable. The Jane Davenport leans a little more like hot and bright, but I was excited to find that. I also like this little turquoise kit because a lot of the colors lean from watercolor to gouache, and I had a feeling that in this new Sargent Art set, the colors might do that as well, just based on the opacity and the vibrancy I am seeing in the pans. And one more note on this little palette, when I pulled it out, I saw that it has this ring on the back, which is for holding while you paint, either in your studio or traveling. And I wanted to show you that this set today also has one of those rings on the back. So you can slip your finger in there and hold the palette while you paint, which you can do in your studio, but it's really handy for holding while you plein air paint, which is painting outdoors. And now let's unwrap these babies. You will see each one has a paper wrapping with the name, the color, and the branding, and then also a plastic packaging. I won't make you watch all of that because it's a fun but quite tedious process. But I did want to point out that at this point in the process is when I realized that these watercolors really didn't sit tight in the case. The case does have these little metal lips that typically I would bend over to hold the paint pans in place, but they are still not effective in doing that. So the pans are moving all over in the case, and I do find a solution for that later because I don't want them moving all around. Although this paint palette did come set up pretty nicely, I did want to rearrange the colors in a way that suited me best in the way that I work. So I reorganized the colors in the arrangement I wanted, and I quickly noted just the number of each color so I would know what my new number is. And the numbers are printed on the sides of the pan, but you will see next that I am not always able to see the numbers on the side because I am going to glue these babies in place. That's right. I don't want them moving. I am using Gorilla Glue here to secure them. This is a pretty permanent solution, but I knew that I wanted these 48 colors to stay together in this set, so I was okay with that. And I am just putting down a little bit of Gorilla Glue and then sliding the pan over so the glue goes on both the bottom and in between the two pans to hold them in place. I did want you to see here too that if you lift the watercolors out of the tin, there are even more paint wells underneath, which I think is cool because you could use this watercolor tin as just a palette if you are needing more paint wells while you're working. I am going to swatch each one for you and then also create some paintings so you can really see it in action. I've pulled out this Strathmore watercolor pad, and since filming, I have ended up using this paint pad quite a bit, and we are going to start swatching all of the colors, but just wanted to point out, you will see here that I am wetting the top of the paint pan and then going back into my water and wetting the top again before I put paint to paper. These paints are pretty hard on the top. They almost have like a film that you need to break through. I won't make you watch it each time, but I did do this for nearly every paint in the pan. Like the next time I painted with this palette, I didn't need to do that again. So it's kind of just breaking it in for the first time. Okay, and now let's see each of our colors. Starting with the first row, we have lemon yellow, yellow, gold, yellow ochre, raw umber, Naples yellow, Jaune brilliant, and Jaune means yellow in French, as I have since found out. Next is copper, and one note on this color, because it is metallic, it is somewhat gritty. I would say the glitter is fine, but not super fine, so there is some texture when you paint with this. I'll show you a close-up of this paint so you can see the texture I'm talking about. Then we have yellow orange, orange, vermilion, and burnt sienna. And in our next row, we have raw sienna, light red, rose madder, brown red, burnt umber, Van Dyke brown, permanent red, scarlet, permanent rose, cold pink, opera, and crimson lake. And for the next row, this color I'm starting with, I think will really surprise you because it looks quite dark in the pan, but so vibrant on the page. We have permanent violet, then we have purple, cobalt blue, Prussian blue, cerulean blue, ultramarine blue, permanent light blue, viridian, malachite green, which is the perfect name for this color, deep phthalo green, hooker's green, and cadmium green light. And then for our final row, we have sap green, greenish yellow, yellow green, olive green, olive brown, green gray, French gray, silver, which is also metallic but smoother than the copper, then indigo, black, and for the white here, I know it's looking a little pinkish. I had mixed some pink and white together the last time I used this palette. And then our final color is pearl white. And I did want to note on the white colors, I know you can barely see them here because of course we're painting on the white of the page. This is another indication that this palette might lean a little bit gouache because a traditional watercolor palette does not have white in it because you are meant to use the white of the page as the white in your piece. There's all of our beautiful swatches. I wanted you to see them close up and also when I tilt them into the light. This is a good look at how many unique colors we get in this palette, and personally, I also like that these colors lean very warm toned because I mainly paint with warm toned colors in my work. It's just what I'm drawn towards, so this is great for me. All right, swatching the paints was fun, but even more fun is seeing them in action for some art pieces. I am starting with this SketchUp to do a little warm-up piece. This sketchbook is also by Strathmore. It is a mixed media sketchbook, so it can take water mediums, but it's not my preferred paper for water. But for a warm-up, it works well. I'm using pastels here in combination with our watercolor and just kind of warming up to playing with a few of the colors to get a feel for them before I move on to my better paper. And I incorporate eyes a lot into my artwork, so it's something I tend to gravitate towards for a quick piece. And now I am sitting down with that same Strathmore watercolor pad to paint a cholla branch. So this is a good example of something a little more realistic and natural in color. You may know that nature is the main inspiration for my artwork, and I paint desert botanicals quite often as a subject. So right now I am working on a piece that features dry cholla branches, and I need to paint like 7 or 8 of them. So I used this palette to paint one of the branches. And now I'll paint another piece for you with the palette. This one's really bright and fun. I am starting with this paintbrush that is also by Jane Davenport, who created that turquoise watercolor kit you saw earlier. And don't let the looks of this brush fool you. It's actually really nice to use. I love the domed point and it works great for watercolor. I'm also using my pastel collection for this piece. Produce is something that has always inspired me and is a subject I'm gravitating toward a lot lately. Another one of nature's gifts. And I'm actually painting pretty wet right here, which I don't normally do, but you will see I am using sea salt as a technique. I sprinkle it on top of the wet watercolor, and once the paint dried, I went in with my pastels. And I tend to do this a lot in my work. I love the contrast between the soft watercolor and the grit and texture of pastels. And here is our final fruity piece. And I took this as a good sign that I could not stop playing with this paint palette. So I painted this loose, colorful pattern of barrel cacti, flowers, and leaves. And of course went back on top with my pastels for some definition. And I was really happy with how this fun piece turned out. And I'm taking that as a good sign that I couldn't put this paint palette down and it was inspiring me. That's something I look for in my supplies. I'm really happy I tried it out and I would recommend it to you. I'll also note whether you are a beginner or advanced artist, I think this palette is suitable. For beginners, it's nice that you get this wide range of colors so you don't have to focus on mixing your own colors and you can just focus on the painting in front of you. And then for someone like me who paints every day as an artist, I also enjoy this palette. Besides how the paint performs, I am also really happy with this tin case. I like that it's not plastic. It's a lot easier to clean and all of the different wells are super versatile. And it folds up, which is great for traveling. I am really looking forward to plein air painting with this soon since I can hold it with that bottom ring. And something I didn't know is that it has this great well in the middle that can hold a paintbrush. I've been able to store 2 of my small brushes in here, which is great and makes it even easier for using on the go. If you want to try this watercolor palette out for yourself, it will be linked down below along with all of the other art supplies that I used today and would recommend. Thanks for coming along to paint with me today. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like this video by giving it a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed already, I would love to have you here. I share painting videos like this and studio vlogs in my art studio. I hope I enhanced your joy today and I will see you in my next one. Bye!